I did not choose this. Music blaring, this act of love was your idea. Your face is hidden from me, twisted in a kiss, demanding all my life, every small trace. Is this love? Racing heart, descent of joy to sleepless nights that fill its vacant space? So say the bells, your whispered words that cloy. Awake, too breathless, water in my lungs, cross threshold in a stumble. You destroy my balance. They say I am too young for your attempts to maim me. Till death do us part, you won't kill, not till you have wrung all of these wretched thoughts, and then renew. I never will leave you, your voice is sung. So this past weekend, Saturday night-ish, about like midnight, 1 a.m., I wrote that kind of confusing sonnet about anxiety. And I'm not happy with it, especially the ending, but that's what I get for ending one of the lines with lungs, and then finding out that because of the form I chose, I had to rhyme 3 other lines had to rhyme with lungs. So, my bad. That is an idea that I had for a sonnet for quite a long time now, and I finally wrote it like really quickly in the middle of the night. You know how it is sometimes. But I've been wanting to write a sonnet about anxiety and sort of in this situation. I don't know how to say it. With like a wedding or a marriage, this idea that I'm sort of stuck with it for life. Because at least for now, that's how it feels. My last video, I think, ended on a really good note. I was feeling really good, and basically the next day, like, that was not the case at all. For the past 3 weeks now, I've been really depressed and just not dealing emotionally well with things. I have a lot on my plate. Trying to find a place to live in New Jersey is extremely stressful, and I'm constantly feeling horrible about it. Then there's things like driving a car or being in cars. I have trouble being in cars. I've been in a lot of car accidents, and just the feeling of approaching another car, like at a red light, or looking in my rearview mirror and seeing a car approaching me, a car moving from 2 lanes over to the lane next to me, cars just existing around me. My heart rate increases, and I have trouble, I have trouble. And that is just being a passenger in a car. Driving, at least as a passenger, I can close my eyes. You can't close your eyes when you're driving. So I just have a lot of trouble with that kind of stress. 2 weeks ago, I woke up feeling really dizzy and slightly nauseous. The teacher that I work with convinced me to go down to the school nurse and see if I had like a fever or something, which I didn't expect that I had, or if I was sick. And I found out that I have high blood pressure. And then I had high blood pressure the next day as well, just like slightly less high blood pressure. And I'm really worried that that's being caused by the stress, that I'm literally now stressing myself to the point that I'm making myself ill physically. And on top of all of this, I spend 5 days a week, 8.5 hours a day, probably should have said that the other way around, in the school. And so I'm like hardly ever home. And I never have any time really to relax. The weekends, like, sometimes just don't even feel like they even happened. Do they exist? I don't know. And then if I have any time that to myself, then it's spent stressing out because I have to find a place to live in New Jersey. And then I have a TA ship for 1 year. Well, what about next year? What's going to happen? How am I going to make a living? How am I going to pay tuition? And everything is really horrible right now in my brain. Oh God, talking about right now, I'm starting to feel really bad again. I have broken down a few times and just started crying. The last time I moved I keep running myself a lot worse. I was in a horrible relationship. I didn't find a place to live until 3 days before I moved. I then moved. Then my grandmother died. Then my relationship ended. Then my grandfather died. That not the last time I moved, when I moved to Seattle, from Port Angeles to Seattle, I should specify. Then the last time I moved, I had to like get a moving service, which I didn't like at all, and there were some stressful elements of that. I did not have very good moving experiences in general. I did have one when I moved from one house to another house in Port Angeles. That was really, really lovely, and I had help from my friend April. I was moving in with her, but the move from Port Angeles to Seattle was one of the worst experiences I've ever had. And then the move from Seattle to here was really stressful. So stressful that I actually missed my period 3 months in a row. Which, by the way, when you miss your period 3 months in a row, you stress out about that as well, which I think just sort of makes it like you miss more. I don't know how it all works, but that was like a really scary time for me. I don't think I ever told anybody about that, so you guys are the first to ever hear about that. That happened 2 years ago. I was really, really worried. The main thing with this is that I keep trying to remind myself that I'm not alone in this, but it's hard to really believe that. It's gotten to the point that I have trouble being around packed boxes, like the idea of moving, and then just finding a place to live and figuring out getting there and getting my stuff there and then paying rent because from my job ends next week, and then until September I won't be working. So I'm hoping to move in August because I have an orientation at the end of August, even though school doesn't start till the beginning of September, which means I have to pay August rent and then whatever sort of other costs come with it. So probably like a security deposit. And then I have September's rent, and I had to pay for the moving costs to get there in the first place. And then like living costs, like I have to eat at some point, all before I start working again. So I try not to remind myself that I'm not alone in this, but I do pretty much feel alone in this. In the interest of this not being a completely depressing video, I went to IKEA on Saturday, which was kind of really fun, even though slightly rushed feeling. Here's a beautiful organized list of things that I made. If you saw, there is the name, dimensions, notes, price, and then the item number. Did it on both sides. Very organized. And I got this beautiful cutting slash serving board. It's like this gorgeous wood, and the whole back is like all wood, and then there's this slate so you can write on it with chalk, and it came with chalk to write on it so you can like label things or something. I just think it's beautiful. It was clearance at the grocery store. Today was field day at the school that I work at, and in one of the classes the girls and the boys had to compete against each other in tug of war, and the girls won not once, not twice, but 3 times against the boys, because every time the girls won, the boys got really pissy about it and didn't believe it because girls are weak. So yeah, the girls beat them 3 times. It was great. I did a lot of gardening. Today when I got home, my intention was just to take out the compost and then water plants, but then there were problems with some of the plants. The zucchini weren't doing well. And then we were checking out the tomato plant, which has gone through quite a lot recently, including the squirrels that kept climbing into it. I yelled at one of the squirrels that just opened the door and went, "Go away, squirrel!" But then there was this baby praying mantis that crawled to the top. So I'm trying really hard to continue functioning like a normal human being as much as I can. So I guess bye. Sorry there's not a nicer conclusion to this video. Hopefully some solution will present itself in my actual life, and in 3 weeks I will have better news to give. Bye.